Sound, you know what time it is, and kicking off tomorrow, and of course throughout the next 8 or so months, every other weekend, and if you have some midweeks, it's going to be about this because we love our footy action so much. So that's what it is. So the EPL kicks off tomorrow with a game of United and of course Fulham in the Premier League on Friday night. Like I said, to help me talk about the upcoming campaign or season, a bit of a preview. They have got their own interests because all of them support one club or the other in the Premier League. First of all, let me introduce our first gentleman who is joining us, and they are all sports journalists based here, mostly in Accra and of course in Kumasi as well. So that's indeed in Ghana. First of all, he is a fan of Manchester United. He's a Red Devil to the core. It's in fact, it's in the blood, and he loves his club so much. He's had his issues with the current manager and how he's managed things. He doesn't really trust that manager that much. I'm talking about Erik ten Hag. He's a fan of United. Our first gentleman on the show today with us is Daniel Koranteng, Danny K, as most of our friends do call him. He's our guest on the show today, joining us via Zoom. Also on the show today, I've got a blue. Dying-the-wool blue. I mean, everything about him is blue. Chelsea Football Club is in his blood. He is with Sompa TV and radio in Kumasi. Michael Asare Boadu is also a guest today on the show. The next guest today on the show is also a dying-the-wool Arsenal fan. He's a Gunner to the core. He is with 3 Sports here in Accra. Kelvin Owusu Ansah, my good friend from back in the days in Kumasi. He's also a guest today on the show. And then for the Anfield faithfuls, now it is no more club ball. It's going to be another ball. I'll tell you about that one. Not club ball, slot ball. I don't know how that will be though. But James SOWAH is a dying-the-wool fan of Liverpool, and he's also our guest today on the show. These gentlemen are going to join me as we talk about the English Premier League kicking off this Friday out there in England. So my guests are going to be on, and together I'm going to run the show for you today as we preview the season kicking off this particular Friday on the English Premier League front. Let me begin first of all by welcoming them all onto the show. And to begin with, let me welcome my man, Danny Koranteng. Let's begin with you, Daniel Koranteng, because you have to go very soon. We all know you love your football club, that's United, although you have an issue with the manager. Let's begin with you. What really do you anticipate happening this season regarding your club? We all know the story of last season and how poor things turned out for United. This year, though, with the signings made by the club and all of that, do you expect a turnaround in the fortunes of the football club this season?
I'm really excited for the new season. Last season, I wasn't too excited. 2 seasons ago, in fact, this is the first season under Ten Hag where I'm really excited. Why? Because I think the squad is in a very good place. We have really good options all around the pitch. I think it's been a very successful transfer window.
Wow.
Although I expect at least one more signing with Manuel Ugarte. I'm really hoping that deal is signed.
Okay.
And look, it's looking really promising. I'm not too concerned about the manager because I think Ineos, the owners in charge of the sporting aspect of Man United, have put the squad set up the squad in such a way that if Ten Hag doesn't do well or he doesn't start well, anybody can come in and continue and do a really good job. I like even the constitution of the backroom staff with Ruud van Nistelrooy as number 2. I've predicted somewhere else that if Ten Hag misbehaves, he will be out of the door by November, and Van Nistelrooy will be manager. So for me, I'm happy. It's a really good squad that they've put together. The new signings of Euro coming in, the Ligt, Mazraoui, and then Segs, who is right now currently my favorite player in the Man United setup. I think this squad is primed for good things. Last season was a complete disaster. But I feel like this team is ready to push for a top 4 finish. And then in subsequent seasons, you can see Man United returning to where they belong. That is at the summit of the Premier League. So it's a good start from Ineos. And I'm really excited ahead of the new season.
Let's stay a bit on the transfers done by the club for the upcoming season. The number of players they brought in from striking department to the defense and the reinforcements they've made. You've made a point already on that, but are you convinced that these new additions will be enough to see the club, for instance, up their ante and get into a possible top 4 finish this season?
Yeah. Last season, the major excuse by Pro Ten Hag supporters was the fact that there was a lot of injuries in the team and the strength and depth of the team was exposed. So this time around, to have really good options all around, I don't think that would be an excuse that will be used by him again. And that is good. You don't want a top team. A top team is not a team with a formidable first 11 and a poor bench. You need to have a bench which is equally good enough to come in and do the business. And I think that's what Man United's transfers have addressed this season. We had issues at fullback. We had major issues at centre back. So with Euro Delict and then Mazraoui coming in, it looks like, Wan-Bissaka is gone now. It looks like Lindelof, either one of Lindelof or Maguire will leave. Okay. You have at right centre back the options of Euro and Delict. At left centre back, you have Lisandro Martinez, Shaw, who can play there. You've promoted a really good left back from the academy in Harry Amas. Okay. When you go to the midfield, and that's what I was talking about. It looks like the final cherry on the cake will be the signing of Manuel Ugarte, who just last season Chelsea wanted. In fact, I fasted and prayed that he would not go to Chelsea. And God answered my prayer. And it looks like a year later, he's on his way to Man United. So if that is signed, I think it will be, I'll term it as a very successful transfer window where United have addressed major issues in the squad. And it only increases my excitement. In fact, Fulham are finished. If they know what is good for them, they will not show their faces on Friday.
I'm sure you can see all of us with some interesting smiles at some of the things you are saying in here. Because you'll be leaving soon for your show, I need to still stay a bit with you so I can let you go, and then I'll focus on Kelvin, James, and then Asare Boadu, who are also on the show with us. Now, still with you, my brother, Daniel. Now, predictions, because I actually said to get you go, the top 5, which teams do you envisage getting into the top 5, and where will you place your club, United?
I think Arsenal will win the. Kelvin is a very pessimistic Arsenal fan, but I think he backs it to save his heart. Okay. But I genuinely feel like Arsenal are primed to win the league this season. Okay. Man City will finish second. I'm tipping Liverpool to come in third. Okay. And then Man United in fourth. But that could switch. If Ten Hag leaves by November, then Man United will finish in third, and then Liverpool will finish in fourth. I don't see Chelsea in the top 6. I don't see Chelsea in the top 8. And I think Chelsea will finish maybe 9th, 10th, or 11th because they are a really poor side. Anybody who has hope for Chelsea is just a very taunt fan who is refusing to address the truth. And I'm saying this because I have to run away and I need to let all the pain out of my heart before I go. So,
absolutely.
For those of you listening, I see Asare Boadu smiling, but deep in his heart, he knows that his side haven't addressed issues, major issues in the transfer window.
Absolutely.
They are signing. Last week, somebody called me from Chelsea and was telling they wanted to sign me. That's how poor their transfer business is. When they see you've kicked the ball before, then they want you to come and play for their team. So I don't see Chelsea in the top 6. I really don't see them playing in Europe next season. Okay. Because, look, the side is poor. It's a very inexperienced team with an inexperienced manager. So for that, I say sorry to Chelsea fans. But Man United is definitely finishing in the top 4.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that. Let me get to Asare Boadu then. Asare, I have to come to you because of how Daniel chose to end his submissions. You are a fan of Chelsea Football Club. As a fan, are you happy with the project your club is embarking on? And do you really understand what the club is really doing as we speak now?
Oh, then good afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. You've been given an opportunity to speak about your club. You spent 2 minutes to talk about Man United, and you spent 8 minutes to talk about Chelsea. Well, let me proceed. I think that as a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be too much pleased with how things have gone in the off-season. And I say this because in the second year of this Clear Lake business that they are doing, you expect continuity, but you are not seeing that because at the end of last season, there was this shocking decision to do away with Mauricio Pochettino. It means you throw away the baby and the water, and you have
Okay.
to start all over again in terms of the technical direction of the club.
Okay.
So Pochettino leaves, Enzo Maresca comes in. Now, we would have to look at this from this point of view that one of the main reasons why Todd Bowley and Bali and his people got Mauricio Pochettino on board was his ability to bring out the best in young players. And that influenced most of the signings that Chelsea did last two summer transfer windows. But when he has to leave and Enzo Maresca has to come on board, it means that some of these players will likely be victims to this new technical change. And then it would also affect continuity in terms of how you build up in terms of a squad building because you sign this crop of players in year one, you are looking to add to it in year two, and then you progress accordingly. And that is exactly how Arsenal have built their squad. There has been stability, there has been continuity. So Arteta did not just start with the Gabriel Jesus and the Zinchenko's. They started with quite inexperienced young players, Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, and along the line, they decided to add quality and experience. The Chelsea project in this current season won't follow suit, and I think that is where the problem will be because you have players going to unlearn what they learned under Pochettino and then quickly learn the new methods of Enzo Maresca. And that told in the preseason that we witnessed that there was so much confusion and there was a clear pattern of players committing errors or making mistakes, which cost the team. With the ball, without the ball, how they conducted themselves. So I think Chelsea's major issue will mostly be about application and how soon they learn. I doubt if that is going to happen anytime soon. So what I foresee is that the start of the season will be a bit difficult for Chelsea fans. So brace yourself up for that. Hopefully in the middle of the season and then in the second half of the season, we're able to quickly learn and then overcome these struggles.
It looks as though you didn't disagree so much with what Danny said eventually, agreeing that Chelsea will clearly not have it easy at the start of the season. Anyway, let me bring in Kelvin. I'll get back to you again, Asare, but let me get to Kelvin Owusu Ansah, who is with 3 Sports and also an Arsenal fan. The Gunners, this season, interestingly, looks as though almost everyone thinks Arsenal can do it this season as in win the Premier League. As a fan yourself, Kelvin, are you that optimistic that this season it will happen finally for Arsenal? If yes, why?
Well, they always say, how do you even say it? Delulu is what, not the solution, or Delulu is the solution, or whatever. I don't think Arsenal will be great contenders for the Premier League this season, and it all stems from the fact that Mikel Arteta is not really focusing on where Arsenal's deficiencies are. You look at, all other managers, and they decide to invest in where they see lots of deficiencies in their team. And I think Arsenal's problem is basically that central defensive midfield position and then a lead marksman, a target man. If any coach wants to win the Premier League, you need top goal scorers or your forwards banging in goals. We saw how, futile Arsenal's attack was last season without Gabriel Martinelli getting the numbers to support what Bukayo Saka had. And if Martin Odegaard and the rest of the central attacking players cannot give extra goals to support what Bukayo Saka gives at the end of the season, then it means Arsenal will continuously struggle this season. Look at all the Premier League or even the other clubs who win the leagues. You go to Real Madrid and, Vinicius and then Bellingham are banging over 15 goals in the season. You go to Germany and then Victor Boniface and the likes are getting in the goals. You go to Italy, you see strikers scoring in goals, leading the charts. Kylian Mbappe was the leading goal scorer. Even in England, look at the number of times that we've seen teams win the Premier League. Even when Liverpool broke the dominance of Manchester City, it had to take Mohamed Salah banging over 20 goals. But do you have anybody in Arsenal getting you those goals? No, you cannot bank your hopes on Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz to be giving you over 17 goals in a season. It won't happen. And once it doesn't happen, you cannot have that trust. It is going to be difficult for you to get in the, over tight games. There are times you just need one phenomenal player to turn the tables for you. And that was what Thierry Henry used to do for Arsene Wenger back in the days. Dennis Bergkamp won't get in lots of goals, but he'll work the magic and Thierry Henry will finish off. You get it. But this is not the same. Robin Van Persie showed up. when Manchester United realized Arsenal were coming up to the top, he just broke him off Arsenal, and then Manchester won the league that season again. Sergio Aguero was going off. Pep Guardiola found a way. He's brought in Erling Haaland, and in the last 2 seasons, nobody can convince me that without the efforts of Erling Haaland and his goals, Manchester City would have been able to win. And in central defensive midfield, without Thomas Partey, Arsenal are useless. And we even saw that the European Championships, when Declan Rice was playing, it had to take the brilliance of players like Jude Bellingham to help, because he can be your box to box, but he doesn't have that intelligence and creativity to cut in from deeper lines like what Thomas Partey can give. And that is Arsenal's problem. If Manchester City struggle with Rodri's fitness this season, you realize they are going to face a dip. And I think these are the 2 areas Arteta has failed to find a solution to, and Arsenal are going to struggle.
So it means you've not been impressed with the transfer business done by Arsenal this off-season?
No, not at all. Not at all. I like the defensive bit. I don't think Arsenal really had issues defensively. For me, Arsenal did not have issues defensively. All they had to do was to get a lethal marksman up front. And I think there were options available. Just splash the cash on someone like Ole Watkins, who has showed creditably that he's one of the upcoming goal poachers. And at the European Champions, when he came on, he salvaged England. And it tells you that his confidence is on a high. Why don't you get him, put him into the folds of Arsenal, more creativity, and then you get in a lot more goals. So, I still have, that difficulty that Arsenal can just get it over Manchester City this season.
I'll get back to you, Kelvin. Let me bring in James SOWAH, a fan of Liverpool Football Club. James, welcome us all onto the show. Now, your favorite, Klopp, clearly is off, but you have Slot. I don't know why I chose to go for that rhyme, Klopp Slot. Would he give anything close to what Klopp gave your club from what you've seen so far in the off-season?
Well, good afternoon to all your viewers across the globe. It will be difficult to replace a manager like Jurgen Klopp. But for starters, Arne Slot is not even the manager yet. He's a coach. They've done a lot of backroom changes, so he is not a manager, as Klopp was. It will take us over a decade to replace Klopp. His aura, his interpersonal relationship with the players, the way he was able to bridge the gap between the supporters and then the playing body itself. So he is a full package, and he will be greatly missed. But this is a dawn of a new era for Liverpool. We need to go forward. And I wasn't really into the Slot signing, but I'm beginning to like his ideologies. I'm beginning to like his way of moving, his playing style, how he's handling the pressure, which is very, very important. Not to digress, but I quite remember when Sir Alex Ferguson left, the hole that he created. Any gaffer that comes wants to be the next Sir Alex Ferguson. But Slot is giving us his own vibe, his own version. He wants us to know that this is his era, and he will do it his way, and that's very, very important to the club going forward, especially for the immediate manager who broke 30 years of droughtness when it comes to the EPL. So I'm excited with what he's bringing on board. I've watched every single preseason games that we've played, bar the one that was played behind closed doors. And I think he's got great ideas. But my only worry for Liverpool, and as Kevin made mention of the fact that you go into the market to strengthen, and where you fall short, that's where you target most. And where we fell short last season, we were in the hands for the trophy till the last month of the season. Which we shot ourselves in the foot. And one thing that we need to do the most is the fact that we need a pivot. We need a number 6. Yes, we tried Curtis Jones, we tried Endo, we tried McAllister. But Endo and McAllister, they don't have the pace. if you've critically assessed Slot's playing style, he needs players who can pick the ball right from the deep end and run with it, penetrate. McAllister is a liability and he's limited when he plays as a sitting number 6. We all know where his strengths are. Endo doesn't have the pace. He reads the game all right, but doesn't have the pace. Jones is a liability when he is playing as a number 6 because he tends to hang on to the ball for far too long, which allows opponents to really compose themselves and get themselves in shape. But honestly, losing Zubimendi, it's a great deal.
I was about mentioning that particular news that came through that he said a big no to Liverpool.
Yeah, it's a very big blow to Liverpool because for a club like Liverpool, we always tend to get what we want. But you can't fault the player. He cited family reasons for his inability to join the Reds. And I must say, it's going to be a very big blow, a major hit for Liverpool if we don't get a proper DM in this setup before the season starts. Ryan Gravenberch can't play the number 6 role because he's too fragile for that position. We need a hard tackler, a player that is ready to do all quote and unquote dirty work in the midfield. Somebody like the likes of Kante. And when Michael Essien was in top form, the Makelele type, someone who is a destroyer. That's what we need because last season, Liverpool created the most chances in the EPL. So we don't really need an attacking form of players. What we need is a number 6 and another centre-back.
Interesting ones from James SOWAH, who is a Liverpool die-in-the-wool fan. James, I'll get back to you. Now to Michael again, I get to Michael. Your team, Chelsea, have been buying almost every player that pops up on the radar. But as a fan, these signings, do they inspire any hope as a Chelsea fan that things will look good for that coming season?
No, I think one thing we need to consider is if you look at the duration of the deals they hand to these young players, it tells you that these are signings that they are making with an eye on the future. Either they develop to play for the first team and then deliver in terms of their output, or in the future where they can sell them and make some money off them. So I think most fans, if you ask them, are basically confused as to the direction of the club in terms of player recruitment. They've been signing young players with potential, but you see, there are risks involved in all this transfer business. And we really need to understand clearly what they want to do first before we really try to assess these signings. And on the basis of what Cole Palmer did, I think some of these fans can grow confident that hopefully there will be another Cole Palmer this particular season. And then there will also be a continuation of the likes of Moises Caicedo. If you saw how he ended the last season, it was quite positive. Enzo Fernandez, Chelsea fans are still awaiting that he will settle in his groove and then give us the Enzo that we see play in the colors of Argentina. But overall, I'm not so enthused about the signings that were made. Maguire is actually a striker who's still learning. He's not really a finished product yet. And if you're looking for an upgrade to what we saw last season from the likes of Nicholas Jackson, maybe Christopher Nkunku, then you are looking at Maguire coming in and not doing that for us. It will likely be like a third choice if you are ranking the strikers we have. Because you look at Nkunku, Jackson, and Maguire comes in, and there's a new signing. So hopefully it tells you that we've not really improved in terms of player recruitment for the striking position. For Pedro Neto, straight in, he walks in and sees someone like Noni Madueke, a straight fight because he's actually Premier League quality. But for injuries, he gives you excitement. He's an explosive winger. He has speed, very good in 1v1 situations. So he's kind of an upgrade if you compare him to Madueke. And then he is somebody who also puts Madueke on his toes. But for the left wing position that we really needed to strengthen, you ask yourself questions and say that no, then we've not really found the right profile. Because Neto fits in more as a right winger and not a left winger. So once again, Chelsea have not addressed an area of need because Sterling did not give us much hope going into the future. And it's not somebody that fans really trust can do the job for us this season. Mudryk still trying to find his feet, but still not there yet. So if you are bringing in a winger, it should be a left winger who will be an upgrade on what we already have. But Neto fits in at the right, and it means that Chelsea have not addressed the issue. In defense, what have Chelsea done? They've brought in Renato Vega. Vega is good, but won't be a starter. And so the main recruitment stand are signings that won't improve Chelsea outrightly, but rather projections going into the future. The potential that these are goalkeepers, defenders, strikers, midfielders who will likely improve Chelsea in 3 years or 4 years. So I don't think there's much hope. I don't really think so. Unless we are being overly optimistic and thinking that the future will be bright.
Then the question I want to ask you as a fan of Chelsea, not a sports journalist, a fan of Chelsea, what model is the owners really running at Chelsea now?
Yes, it told me, sir.
Interesting.
They are just buying. I think their thinking is they want to run this multi-club model. So let's stockpile the talent base of Chelsea with a lot of potential. And what happens is that there will be distribution to the other clubs. There's Strasbourg now. They are likely to get an investment in Portugal. They'll be sending players there. And also, if they can sell some of these players and make money out of them. So what I see as a fan is these are owners who won't make Chelsea overly as ambitious as it was in the Roman Abramovich era. What they will do is that they will likely be a tad competitive, but that is it. It won't be as competitive as we see the likes of Manchester City. We've seen Liverpool do something like that. Chelsea will struggle to get to that height. I think this will be ranking between medium term, long term. Chelsea will be as competitive as top 4, maybe a top 2 finish, and try to get to a couple of finals and see if they can win.
Interesting. Someone in the studio said perhaps they are running a model just like what is being done at Brighton and Hove Albion. I don't know what you say to that.
Hopefully. I think it's similar.
Interesting.
Brighton are next. Don't forget they gave Chelsea that nickname.
Brighton are next. Interesting. Let me bring in Kelvin at this stage. And Kelvin, let me ask you, I mean, you seem not to have so much trust in Mikel Arteta, the manager for the football club, but where do you see Arsenal really ranking this season in terms of a top 4, a top 5 finish? And then you can give us an overview of your thoughts on which teams will occupy those top 5 slots.
Well, I think Arsenal are still going to be in the top 4, probably the top 2. Yes, which I still believe that they have the energy to go that mile, especially when they've solved a number of defensive issues. But that only menace is going to be that attack, and it's going to be a problem unless we're going to see something, magically happening before the end of the transfer window, where Arsenal could probably bring in Gyökeres, or maybe the rumors surrounding Victor Osimhen, which the Arsenal that I have known from Arsene Wenger's time, will not splash money, that huge amount, to get Victor Osimhen to come in, bank in the goals. And if that happens, I still think Manchester City will stand that edge of winning. And then Arsenal second, Liverpool, Ancelotti, I won't rule anything out. Liverpool's team hasn't changed so much. And if I look at them from what the preseason offered, they are going to really be a much more stubborn team to deal with. I watched how they played against Arsenal, and you could see that the major woes, the issues or loopholes that they had during Klopp's last season with the Reds, they managed to find solutions to it. And the ball retention is even greater. If we're calling Klopp heavy metal football, where they were, retaining the ball as early as possible, this time around, it's even crazier than it happened under Jurgen Klopp, because Ancelotti also has that same level of energy. And this is a man who has a lot of faith in the young ones. And Jurgen Klopp did not do Liverpool a damage by introducing these youngsters. And they've matured over a season into knowing how to play top-level English Premier League football. So they are going to match a both for both. I put them third. And then I think the team, they shouldn't rule out Chelsea. I still think they have some bits of magical one that can get in there because of if Nkunku is staying very fit, if Cole Palmer is going to give, that level of performance he gave last season, Chelsea can do their best and continue from what they offered last season. Enzo Maresca definitely knows the issues surrounding their defense. And, today I saw the news of Levy Colwell and then Fofana starting the season for them. And it was a bit funny because I thought they could have done better in there. But they still have equally good shells who can help them in there. If your defense is poor, you make sure that your attack complements it. But if Chelsea are not ready to be in that top four, I still think Unai Emery still has his team up there to get into the top four. So I split the fourth between Chelsea and then Aston Villa.
Interesting one from Kelvin. Let me get back to Asare on your top four or top five placements and why, and if your team Chelsea can get themselves in there, notwithstanding not having so much trust in the system as it stands now.
Well, I think Arsenal, for some reasons, that's my number one. Because I think
Arsenal number one.
Especially, Arsenal number one.
Okay.
That is despite the fact that they still haven't gotten an elite finisher. I kind of share the sentiments raised by Kelvin. They need an elite finisher to make their project whole complete. And I think that if they're also able to quickly finish the deal for Mikel Merino, it really adds depth to their midfield, gives them more dynamic. And it looks like they will find the better replacement they were looking when Granit Xhaka left. So I think that Arsenal will be my number one. City are light, especially in the middle. And I say this because Rodri has quite played a whole lot number of games. Last season, he amassed over 4,000 minutes, played close to 50 games for club and country. And he's coming off another hectic period where he played in the Euros for Spain. Definitely, when he's available for selection at Manchester City, he will straight walk into the starter lineup. And if you take out Rodri, City quite don't have any player capable of giving up to like 70% what Rodri gives. So clearly, I think that will really be a problem for them this season. How Pep and especially with how Pep uses any other player to get the results that he needs. Then in losing Julian Alvarez, I thought City would really go wild and try to bring in another attacker to complement Erling Haaland, because Haaland has showed that he really is not that reliable in terms of games. Injuries have really affected him, mostly last season. So I think City are light, to make it brief, and I will put them at number two. Liverpool, but for their inability to really replenish their squad and having to rely on what they already had last season, I think it's going to be an exciting season for them, but also an inconsistent season for them. For someone like Darwin Núñez, I think he has this last chance to finally convince the Liverpool faithful that it's really someone that they can look up to, especially when Salah is winding down in terms of his Liverpool spell. I think that players like Darwin Núñez need to step up. But Liverpool in at number three. Number four, Aston Villa. I want to see how they manage their squad, especially when they have to play in Europe. They'll be playing in the Champions League. They will also be playing the other domestic cup competitions, as well as compete for a top four place. And if care is not taken, what happened to Newcastle last season might also happen to them, because they don't really have a deep squad. And if we are to repeat lineups consistently, this will really affect some of their players. And I want to replace Aston Villa in my top four options with Newcastle. Why? Because Newcastle are getting Sandro Tonali back. They are not going to have the burden of playing in Europe. And so Eddie Howe gets to rest a lot of players.
That's true. And
he's kind of refreshed the team quite a bit. If they get Maguire on board, he improves their defense, takes them to the next level. Because if you lose Jamal Lascelles and you bring in Maguire, I think it is an upgrade, and it's quite good for them. So I'll throw in for the top four, final four position. It will be Newcastle. Chelsea will recover at a point in time. They have enough material to be able to challenge for the top four. Then I will add Tottenham Hotspur to it. So Spurs, Newcastle, Chelsea to fight for the final fourth position.
in all of this, I did not hear Man United.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay, let me get to James. James, let me bring you your predictions for the top 5 placements on the EPL table by the end of the season.
Well, before I go to that, let me remind Kelvin that the same Arteta was able to make the board splash a whooping 100+ to get in Declan Rice. He trusts in Arteta, so if Arteta wants Victor Osimhen, they will definitely get him for him. But if Arsenal are able to capture Victor Osimhen, then it's a game over for all of us. I think they will walk straight to the top. With that being said, my top 4 prediction for the past 10 years, I've been maintaining this: any team that's able to finish above Man City will win the league. We thought Arsenal were going to, after picking up all those points from Man City last season, we thought they were going to run away with the trophy, but they let their guards down when it mattered most. So I'm still tipping City because City the greatest personality in that squad. It's not any of the players, but it's the gaffer, and that's Pep. Pep, it's successfully driven. He just wants to win anything and everything that is within arm stretch. That's Pep. So I'm still tipping Man City to go all out. Yes, I know Arsenal, they've kept their squad. They have rhythm. They have how do we call this? Momentum. But I still maintain Man City to win it. And then Arsenal, yes, they have about 98% of the squad that played last season available, so they wouldn't have any problem. The only problem is the fact that there are some tricky games that they need an arrowhead, as Kevin rightly said, which they don't have. But if they are able to, then the top will change. So I'm tipping Arsenal to be second. But my own Liverpool is third for me, in the sense that probably slots will need some time to adjust to the EPL. But with the squad, it's the same squad that last season we're not even supposed to make top 4. This should be known. But we fought for the title. We challenged for the title because it's a very new squad, especially the midfield. They played a season together. They know each other. So they should be okay going forward. So I'm tipping Liverpool to clinch the third slot available. But if slot is as stubborn as Jurgen Klopp, then I think we can also push Man City and Arsenal to have a photocopy finish in the end, at the end of the season. And then I don't know why my colleagues are downplaying the chances of Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur, they were just like Liverpool last season. They were not supposed to go that hard on the EPL because we know their gaffer came in and then he hit the ground running. And this season, I think they are going to replicate last season's performance, and they'll go all out to make sure that they finish within the top 4 slots. And what will help them this season is the fact that they won't just rely on Richarlison, but the mere fact that they've been able to handpick former Chelsea, former Liverpool striker, Dominic Solanke. I think this will enhance. So now you have Son playing in his perfect position as the auxiliary striker in the number 10 position or as the auxiliary striker, which is going to really push them for a top 4 finish. So I'm tipping them to a top 4. The likes of Newcastle, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and then Man United, I think they will need to contend for the conference and then the Europa slot available.
Interesting one from you guys. Thank you so much. James SOWAH, Liverpool fan, grateful. Calvin Owusu Ansah of 3 Sports and an Arsenal fan. Thank you so much, my brother, for your time with us. And Michael Asare Boadu of SOMPA TV, SOMPA Sports in Kumasi, and also a fan of Chelsea. Grateful for your time with us on the show. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us on our show today. And to, of course, Daniel Koranteng of Joy Sports and also a fan of United. Grateful for your time also on the show with us today. An awesome discussion with these wonderful guys. So